Raising the Bets is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to Raising the Bets. We're a Catholic couple raising 5 kids outside of Boston. Join us as we share the joys and challenges of marriage, homeschool, and our adventures near and far as we make sense of the world and experience the best parts of our culture. I'm Dom Bettinelli.
And I'm Melanie Bettinelli.
Happy Independence Day, Melanie. In the future for us, in the past for the people listening to this, but...
Yeah, it's 4th of July weekend.
Yes, and it's 4th of July, the beginning of July.
Which means the summer is 1/3 of the way over, and it doesn't feel like...
Oh, thanks for depressing me. It's over. Winter is around the corner.
Yeah, something like
That's
that.
one way of looking at it. Or the other way of looking at it is there's still 2/3 of summer left.
Yeah, we can see who's being the optimist here.
Yes, I know. I'm holding on to hope. So, unpopular opinion. America the Beautiful... Sorry, was it? Wait, is it God Bless America? No, America the Beautiful is the one we sang today.
Yeah, so beautiful for spacious skies.
Yes, is a perfectly appropriate hymn for Mass. I know there was a lot of Catholics who heads explode when you say that. They do not like patriotic hymns, but I think we pray for America in that. Mend thine every flaw. Confirm thy liberty in law.
Confirm thy soul in self-control.
In self-control. Like, these are some big time prayers that America needs. I'm all for it. Whatever. I'm not a...
So people seem to read it as a sort of how great we are, and I read it more as a...
Or that it's inappropriate somehow to be singing about your country in Mass. Or to be
it's kind of like we were bringing the idea of separation of church and state, like, the other way around too. Like,
well, I think they're afraid of like a Christian nationalism or something.
Right. Yeah, but
that would be bad. But I don't think that's what's going on. It's the same thing with like the intercessory prayers, which is another bugaboo of mine. Which is, can we stop praying for government officials to give us stuff and start praying for their conversion? I think I would rather that. Like, every time we have that in the prayers of intercession, it's always like, and that our political leaders would give, to the poor and those who need it. And it's like, or let's just pray for their conversion. We all need conversion. So let's pray for their conversion. Anyway, hey, it's ranting about the liturgy time. Yay. Let's move on and chillax a bit.
No.
So
let's not.
The kids have discovered the word chillax. The older girls, I think Bella and Sophie discovered, they're friends on their homeschool cafe, their online community, shared it with them. And so they've used it. And I think the younger kids picked up on it like they thought it was a new word that they invented. And so some of them, like Anthony, love to like say new things over and over again. I think they get it from you. They love the feel of new words in their mouth,
And
so
blame it on me.
Yes, this is your fault. So chillax became the word of the week.
Which is funny because you evidently heard all of the iterations of it because I didn't hear it once.
I think it was really the beginning of the week. They really were into it, and then it lost its savor by the end of the week. But it might have even been like the first. It might have been during the pool when we were swimming at my brother's pool last week that they started doing. Ooh, I hear fireworks.
I hear fireworks too.
Yes. So Sunday night fireworks. Let's. I don't know whether it's neighbors or organized. It sounds close enough to be neighbors, which is fun. Some of our neighbors, they go all out and they really blow some stuff up. So we don't really have 4th of July plans this year for the first time in like ever. Like,
you mean like
every year since we've been married and before,
except for the COVID year.
Well, no, back up, rewrite that. I'll say why in a second.
Okay.
We've gone to my brother's house on the 4th of July, and we did in 2020. They didn't have a pool party.
Well, right, but we didn't have plans. It was just sort of a last minute, like, hey, by the way, if y'all want to go over to the hang out in the pool, we're not going to be there, but you can come.
Well, no, they were there on.
Were they? Okay.
Yes. No, they just invited us over to hang out. They didn't have a party, but they invited us over. So, but every year since forever, we've gone to my brother's house for 4th of July.
Did they have a party last year? I don't think they did.
Yeah, they did. Yes.
I do not remember.
Yes. I can even maybe pull up the pictures or whatever. But this year they're away. My brother and his wife are away. They went to Kentucky to pick up my nephew, who is finishing up Army summer camp. He's ROTC. They do it sounds like they're like learning to canoe and swim. No. They've just spent a month hiking through the hills and dells of Kentucky. With full rucksacks and getting very little sleep. So they went to go pick him up, and my older nephews will be there, but I'm gonna guess they're there with their friends and stuff. The older have moved out, but they'll be at the house.
They might be there.
Yeah, the 20 somethings. So so it's gonna be weird to not go, but it opens up a possibility of actually taking the kids to see fireworks, because as far as I can remember, since we've moved out of Salem, which is now 12, 13, 14 years ago, we haven't gone to fireworks on the 4th.
No. Well, in Salem, it was nice because we could actually walk, but right. I hate getting stuck. The thing is, our kids go to bed really early, and they do not do well with staying up late.
They're to bed early. Well, some kids go to bed really early. Some are night owls.
Well, yes, but the ones who go to bed really early really crash hard and are very, very cranky if they can't sleep. And my fear has always been stuck in a car, because sometimes when you go to a fireworks, you can't get out very quickly.
Right, you're stuck in the car in traffic.
You're stuck in traffic with cranky kids at night who just want to be asleep in
their bed at home.
Right, and
yeah, but we've gone on vacations where we got home late. I mean, we've done that before. I don't know. I just feel like they haven't experienced a real fireworks display.
This is true.
So I mean, Bella did, and probably Sophie, when they were babies. When Salem had the best fireworks. I don't know if they still do it, because they had a concert down on the waterfront with an orchestra, and then fireworks over the harbor afterward. Wasn't that awesome?
It was nice.
Such a fun,
and it was easy to get to.
Small town America thing. Yeah,
very small town. I mean, I've been
easy for us because we were walking from our apartment.
Right. I've been to fireworks displays. I mean, my parents took me to 4th of July fireworks over Town Lake in Austin, and I have gone, there with when I was in high school and college. I went with friends to 4th of July parties, and I even went to the no, I didn't. I had planned one year to go to the Boston Hatch Shell, but
I did that one year in Francesca's boat. My sister Francesca, when she had a boat, we went up the Charles River and anchored in the Charles and listened to the Pops and had the fires go over our head.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
I ended up going to a different Pops concert, but I didn't actually do the 4th of July one because I just crowds.
Well, that's a huge. I wouldn't want to sit in that crowd. That's a crazy crowd. Yeah, but the that was actually awesome. The Charles, because her boat was big enough to have a bathroom on it, which was really useful. We kept having boats full of drunk college kids wanting to use her bathroom, and she's like, no, that's a no, thanks. But then after the concert, it was so late, getting back through the locks. There's locks at the end of the Charles River, and then all the way down to the back, where the Wahlburgers is. That's where her boat was marinaed. It was a very different kind of marina back then. But yeah. But fireworks, I don't know. I kind of want to go, but I kind of don't. It is kind of a huge hassle, the logistics. all the places around here, it's going to be, especially since I'm not familiar with the places around here. So like, there's always like, when's the best time to go? Where's the best place to park? Where's the best place to get in and out of wherever? I don't know any of that stuff. So
that's the thing, is if I had like an inside track, like this is where you go, this is what you do, this is the best place to park. Like if I had a rundown of all that, I think I would be less hesitant. It's the question marks. It's the unknown. And I don't know how willing I am to deal with that many unknowns.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, maybe we'll just sit in the backyard and watch the neighbors' fireworks again. Because, I mean, they're all around us, the fireworks, and they are often pretty good. So, I mean, they're not like the big boomers, but, you know, they're okay. Well, so something else that we've been doing lately us and everybody else. So a few months ago, everybody was doing Wordle. If you remember, that was the big craze, Wordle. That's the puzzle where you have a 5-letter word that you're trying to guess, and you get 6 tries at it, and it'll tell you if the letter is in the right space, or if you have the right letter but in the wrong space, and that whole thing. And the New York Times famously bought it, and now it's on their site and all that sort of stuff. And then there were all these clones of Wordle that came out, like other games that are not exactly the same but kind of inspired by it. And so you and I have been playing a lot of these different word games. I love crossword puzzles, so it's right up my alley.
Yep.
So some of the ones I played, so there's Wordle, then there's Quordle, which is you're doing, is it four puzzles at once, and you get a few more chances. I think it's 8 instead of 6. Then there's Sadordle, which is 16 at once, which sounds crazy. Like, oh my gosh, you're doing 16 puzzles, but because every try that you put in goes into goes to a potential solution for every single one of the puzzles, all 16 of them at once. You get lots of clues. By the time you get half of them done, the others are already pretty much solved. You just got to type the letters in. Okay, that's the S, that's the A, that's the Y, that's the K, the L. I have no idea what I was just spelling, but
I have no idea.
Okay,
it sounds too confusing to me.
It's not all that confusing. It's actually kind of fun. So those are sort of Wordle clones, and then there's a couple of ones that I do that are geography. So there's Worldle, and what it shows you a silhouette of a country. And you have 5 tries to guess which country it is.
I am not good at that.
And it tells you, if you get it wrong, you are the actual country that you're looking for is in that direction. So it'll have an arrow, east, west, north, south, southeast, southwest, that sort of stuff, and distance, how far away.
I find that kind of confusing because I'm never sure, like, the arrow is pointing
toward the country you want.
Toward the country I want.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why. It gets my, like, me confused and disoriented.
The nice thing is that it auto completes. So as you start typing, it will show you the options. Like, do you want Angola, Andorra, that sort of thing. So it'll show you the options.
In case you can't remember the country names.
Yeah. Or the spelling. Right. So there's that one. And then there's another one called Global. And this one, you just get the globe and you type in a name, just you pick a country, and the country
basically tells you if it's hot or cold.
Right. So if the country is, if the country that you're looking for is like on the other side of the planet, it'll highlight the country you typed in and show it as a white outline. And then it will also give you a distance. And then you're guessing. And so red means it'll be like right next to it or something. It's a lot of fun. So I always type in Democratic Republic of the Congo as my first guess on that one. Because it's huge. If you ever looked at a map of Africa, it's huge. And there's a lot of countries in Africa. So it's more often than not an African country that you're looking for. The ones I hate are those tiny little South Pacific nations that I can never remember the names of. Kiribati, Nauru, Togo. Wait, is Togo in the African one? Tuvalu. Oh my gosh, it is. Those ones drive me crazy. Okay, so those are the geographical ones. Then there's Waffle. Have you done waffle?
I do waffle. That's one of the ones I actually play all the time. It's kind of like Wordle, except instead of typing in letters, it gives you a set of letters, and then it gives
it's all
you
scrambled.
like a crossword grid. So you got 3 across and 3 down.
Yes.
And you have to unscramble the letters, but you only get 15 moves.
And it looks like a waffle. That's how it's a grid. Right. And you only get 15 moves of swapping letters.
That one's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I don't always get that one. That's one where I can sometimes don't get it.
Sometimes don't get it.
Now, a new one you shared with me recently is called Susie. And it is, you get the a word. It shows you
the pattern of consonants and vowels.
in a word, right? And it's a 5-letter word. And so you have to guess the word based on the consonants and vowels. And then when you you type in your guess, and it'll tell you how many you've got right.
It won't tell you which ones are right and which ones are wrong. It just gives you a number.
Yes.
There is 1 right letter in this one. There's 2 right letters, and there's 4 right letters. And you have to sort of process of elimination, figure out which of those letters are. I'm still not really good at the whole process of elimination thing. I feel like I'm just kind of brute forcing.
The pattern matching, crypto decoding.
Yeah. I don't understand I'm not very good at the whole process of elimination of if this letter is in, if there's only one of these letters in this word and there's only one letter in this word, I can therefore eliminate. And I
usually pick one letter. Like if it says there's 3 letters here, I'll pick 3 letters and try to come up with another word with those 3 letters and go from there. As a guess. And it's hard. And it will eventually start to tell you these letters are right. And these letters have been eliminated from contention.
And I cannot figure out what algorithm it's using to tell you to decide when it's going to tell you and why. Like, it's kind of a mystery to me. It's sort of a weird black box, but it's kind of fun to play. So I keep playing it.
I usually get around, like my average is around 8.
Your average is better than mine. My average is like 12. Okay. I go as high as 17.
So another one that you've got me playing now is called Redactyl.
Redactyl is my favorite of all the word games. So basically, it takes a Wikipedia article and redacts it as if it's like a mad censor, and it takes out all the nouns, all the verbs,
except for the very short ones like is and
sometimes is.
Yeah.
And it takes out all the adjectives, and it basically leaves you with prepositions and the verb is.
Well, prepositions, conjunctions, and articles.
Yes.
So the, or, between, sometimes it'll give you between, sometimes it won't. And so you have to guess, and then you see the structure of the article, and you have to guess what the topic of the article. Now, the article is, did you say it was from Wikipedia?
Yeah, they're Wikipedia articles. Yeah. And you have to basically guess, every time you guess a word, it will fill it in.
Yeah.
It'll tell you how many instances there are of that word. Like you type in the word made and it says 4, and it fills them in. And if you click on it, it will highlight all the ones.
It will show you the context of where that is.
Right.
And it doesn't spell check for you, by the way. It'll take anything. You could type in anything and it will count that as a guess. So you've got to you got to know what you're doing. And then it won't give you plurals or past tense. You have to try each one individually.
Right. So you have to try made and makes. You have to try
use, used, usage. Those are separate. Yeah. All separate. Yeah. I struggle with this one. I shared this with some friends and I'm like, oh yeah, I got today's Wordle in 6. I got it in 12.
You mean
I'm like,
Redactyl?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Redactyl. Yeah. And I'm like, it took me 154 guesses. Like, how are you getting these that quickly? I'm not sure what people I don't have a system really. I'm sort of developing a system to figure out like broad category. Is it a person? Is it a thing? Is it an idea or concept? Is it a place?
Some of the friends I play with, they definitely spend a lot of time analyzing the length of the words and the structures of the sentences.
You can see the relative length of the words.
But I think that my tactic tends to be just scattershot a whole lot of words
Again,
at it.
Brute force.
Right. And then sort of eventually start to do the analysis. But I think I have friends who are a lot more careful in that they analyze after every single word they put in.
My first guess is always history, Because if there's a subcategory of history, then I know it's something that's got a history to it. Okay.
And history is a frequent subcategory on
Right.
Wikipedia articles.
And then I'll do things like century. And then if century comes up, I'll do 20th, 19th, 18th. You know, so numbers and letters are also, you can put in, like there was a math one recently, and there was all these equations in it. So like A, B, C, those were all in there. Was the parentheses and stuff? No, you had to try those separately. You had to do parentheses and all the operands and stuff. I
thought I gave you the parentheses, but not the like pluses and minuses.
Oh, maybe I gave you the parentheses. Yeah, but you had to try all the operands, the equals, the greater than, the pluses and minuses and times. Yeah.
I find that there's something incredibly satisfying about the redactyl.
When you get it, it's a big, I feel it's a sense of accomplishment. I feel like it's really like, wow, okay. And it's kind of interesting, like what I'm guessing what it's what it says. And then once I have it, reading it and going, oh, okay, that's different. I didn't think of that. Like just, I find it fascinating.
That's one where I've occasionally got them in very few guesses because I happened luckily to hit upon a keyword early on.
Yeah, like the one the other day was like night, like the concept of NIGHT, and it's like it took me forever. I think the broader the subject, sometimes the harder it is. There's been computer ones where I'm like, I know a lot about computers, and so I think it's kind of harder because I don't know what to use to narrow it down. I know lots of computer words. Whereas if I don't know a lot about a subject, there's fewer words I know to try. And so maybe that's better. I don't know. Now you were doing Semantle for a while. Do you still do that?
I kind of gave up. They decided to monetize it with ads, and there's got flashy ads on it. And
that's really distracting.
Yeah, I don't want to be flashed ads at, and it stopped being as fun.
So what it describes how Semantle works, because that's one I never did.
Semantle is kind of a odd game. It basically draws from a bank, like a database of newspaper articles, I think. Okay. And basically it picks a word and then it uses statistical analysis to tell you how closely related your guesses are to the mystery word based on how often they appear at the same time in the same articles.
Right. If your word is one of the 1,000 nearest normal words to the target word, the rank will be given. 1,000 is the target word itself. So the higher the number, the closer in rank, semantic rank it is to the target word.
Right. So it's tricky because it's not really looking for synonyms, although you can frequently get fairly far by trying out synonyms of words that have a higher rank. But really it's words that appear frequently in the same context. So the word bat will appear frequently in context with words like field and base and ball and player.
But also tree and
moth
and mammal and yeah.
Right. So yeah, right. That's the tricky thing is if a word has, more than one meaning in different contexts, it can get really fuzzy.
And they don't give you anything to start. So you're just shooting blind at first. And it could probably take you a while to get to your first relatively close word.
Yeah. Semantle was most fun when I had a group of people I was playing it with, and we would share, like, when we would get stuck, we would share sort of like, well, this is a warm word that I got. And sometimes by comparing answers, we could get further than working individually. Yeah. It was more fun as a group activity. As a solo activity, I found it less exciting.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, that's fun. Yeah. So word games. We like to do crossword puzzle together and that sort of thing. I mean, we like word games. So let's move on and talk about some of the foods we've been cooking. You got on a kick to make some Romesco sauce.
Yeah, I had clipped a recipe a while back and never really got around to making it because I never had the ingredients on hand when I was thinking about it. So I decided I was going to make it happen. And
So Romesco sauce is a Spanish sauce. Yeah.
It's basically roasted peppers, roasted tomatoes, almonds, and some flavorings like paprika, red pepper flakes, lemon, garlic. And then you blend it together. You don't have to cook it. You just blend the ingredients together.
Right. The stuff like the roasted peppers and roasted tomatoes and almonds are all,
and toasted almonds.
Toasted almonds are all, cooked ahead of time in that sense. But otherwise, it's a cold sauce.
Right. I actually did it in multiple steps because just making a sauce that's complicated and fiddly on a weeknight while trying to get dinner together just wasn't really happening. So one night you roasted the peppers on the grill while you were cooking something else. Mm-hmm. And then I had some fire roasted tomatoes in a can, and then I toasted the almonds. And one night I burnt the almonds.
Right. A whole bowl of them. Yeah.
A whole cup of almonds burnt. It just broke my heart. And then I did it again and didn't burn them the next time. And it's tasty. We served it on roasted broccoli.
Yeah. I think in Spain it's often like with potatoes or chicken it
would be really good on fish, I think. I forgot to bring it out when we had fish.
Yeah, that would have been good. You always make that mango salsa for the salmon.
Right, but it would be nice on like a whitefish, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. The interesting thing is a lot of Spanish dishes have almonds. Almonds are big in Spain, like whether it's cooked like in a dessert, like we talked about before, or in something like this. And it was pretty good. I liked it. I think I tried to make Romesco sauce myself once before, but it didn't come out well. So. But this one was good. I liked it. So the other thing that we made this week is a recipe for ginger curry grilled chicken kebabs. Now, you know us and kebabs. If you've been listening any length of time, we make skewered kebabs, and skewers all the time. And these ones they're curry. So they have Indian flavors. So they have curry powder and turmeric in them, and they were really good. So you take some tomato paste, some oil, lemon juice, ginger, garlic, curry powder, turmeric, and a little bit of cayenne. I left the cayenne out because the kids don't really like it, and the curry powder has enough spice in it. Salt and pepper, and then you marinate it for half an hour at room temperature. You could do it. You have to cut up the meat. I used I think I used chicken thighs. That's what it was. I think it was boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And then after that, I skewered them up with some bell pepper and red onion, and did them up on the grill, just over the fire. And they were really tasty. Actually, they were really good. They could have used a sauce though.
Yeah, I would have put a sauce. I mean, I did make a mint chutney.
Yes.
Which worked actually pretty well with them.
Yes.
We really also had some pre-made frozen samosas that were really tasty with the mint chutney. I made the fresh mint chutney myself, and it was good. Yeah,
the chutney was good. But it was a good recipe. I would make it again, but I would make like a sauce on the stovetop for it. Just something to kind of throw it, because that's how they make curries in Indian restaurants. They don't cook it with the meat in it generally, though, or some of them they don't. Some they'll grill, over the tandoor,
like a tikka masala sort of thing.
Right.
Usually the sauce is added later.
Yes, the meat's cooked separately and then this added to the sauce. Yeah. So I want to try it again, but with the sauce, because it was really tasty. So I don't know what we're gonna do for special stuff this week, though. I got some other recipes I want to try, and it's just about time for our midsummer lobster fest. We have lobster basically twice a year. We have lobster once in the summer and once at Christmas, and so it's about time for our summer lobsters. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I think they might have come down in price a little bit, which would make that more possible, but we'll see. I've been watching the prices. All right, let's talk about things we've been reading or watching. You're still working on the Vorkosigan Saga books.
Vorkosigan
Saga?
Yes.
First, you got me trying to do Russian names, and now we get this.
Yeah, it's I'm plowing through the books like one a day, and it's a long series. I think there's like 13 or 14 books, something like that. Anyway, yeah, fun space adventures with a big cast of characters. I don't really have a whole lot to say about them, except definitely not for kids or sensitive viewers. Like readers, if you're sensitive to violence and sexual content, not for you.
Okay.
Just so we're clear.
Right. Is it one ongoing story or is it individual stories?
Yeah. So basically there's one main protagonist. The first two books, chronologically speaking, are about his parents and them getting together. Which is important because he was basically his, because of the position his dad has in society, he's political active and he gets attacked. And so he's like deformed as a child. And that's kind of a huge part of his psychology.
Okay.
Is that he has fragile bones and a huge political ambition. It's kind of great. He's kind of a character who creates sort of a second personality. And so then it turns out he has a clone. And so it's kind of
these are the days of our lives. Yeah,
it's like space.
It's like space soap opera.
Yes.
Instead of space opera, it's space soap opera.
It totally is. It's so fun. It's just light, fluffy reading, but not completely popcorn, but good summer. I like to sometimes just plow through a good series of books. Summer reading.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm also, I have some other books that I'm like putting on the back burner that I'm loading up to read. But when I am engaged in like this sort of summer reading, I like hyper focus on books and I like forget everything else.
Right.
Like I'm not on social media. I'm just reading. Go away, kids. I'm reading.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Anyway, so I've been watching some things. The Grace season 2 on BritBox has finally dropped. Now, Grace is a BritBox original series. BritBox is the service that brings you both BBC and ITV content. All the British TV, both modern and classical. So, like, I got BritBox originally to watch classic Doctor Who for the Secrets of Doctor Who podcast. But I've been watching all this other stuff on it too, and I mentioned Grace season 1 when it first came out. I think it was last year, and this is Grace season 2. It stars John Sim, who, if you're a Doctor Who fan, will know as the Master from the David Tennant time. And he's a detective inspector whose wife went missing some years ago, and her disappearance has never been solved. Has she been murdered? Did she leave him? It's sort of an open question. And at the time he kind of, I will use whatever resource I can find. And so we consulted psychics, and that kind of made him a laughing stock. And he's been recovering from that situation ever since, as what kind of detective can't find his own wife, solve his own wife's disappearance, that sort of thing.
Right.
So that's sort of the background. And so the season 2 has him back on the job, and so there's 3 episodes, and the first episode brings in, as one of the main guest characters and potential villains, Arthur Darvill, who played Rory on Doctor Who with the Matt Smith.
Now we've got 2 different Doctor Who. Well,
basically Doctor Who, every British actor shows up on Doctor Who at one point or another. I mean, that's just pretty much, that's a rule of thumb there. So, but yes, it was fun to see, Rory and the Master in reversed roles almost. And that was a pretty good one. It was the wife of this wealthy businessman played by Arthur Darvill is killed in this kind of bizarre way. And the businessman sort of has a alibi, but the alibi is that he was with his mistress and doesn't want to tell anyone.
Oh, that's a classic mystery twist.
But it twists even further from there, and I don't want to give anything away.
Don't give it away because I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, because it's really good. So there's more circles within circles. So that was really, and then the second one was about stamps. A murder. Philatelic stamps, like postal stamps.
Right.
But worth money.
What's the word for that? People who
philately. And they're philatelists.
Right.
My dad was a philatelist. It destroyed the family.
What?
He was a stamp collector. But criminals using stamps as a way to transport lots of money across borders surreptitiously. A stamp can be worth tens of thousands of dollars, a collector's stamp. And no customs official is going to look twice at a bunch of stamps in a bag. So you could bring, hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash, worth of money across borders. But there's some murders and other things, and then there's this weird thing about this woman who's in her home, really paranoid in her home, using extreme home security measures to protect herself. And you're wondering what this has to do with everything else. So it's just a very interesting. And then there's a third episode, which I haven't watched yet, but I really enjoy these British detective shows. And actually some of my favorite parts are the ways in which they're different from American detective shows.
Right.
When British detectives, apparently, according to the TV anyway, when they go to a crime scene, they suit up in a bunny suit. They have the booties, and they have like a hooded, white suit, so that they're not contaminating the scene with their own DNA and whatever.
Do Americans?
No, they just, you watch an American detective show, they're just wandering around, picking stuff up. I don't know if they're probably not picking stuff up, but they're just they go in. I think they will put booties on their shoes, like in CSI they did at least, but in general they're not putting these outfits on. So I just think this is these interesting differences in it. And of course they don't carry guns,
right?
British cops. So whenever they encounter a bad guy and they're in a violent situation, there's no gun to pull out and shoot at him. It's a whole different thing. In fact, in the first season of Grace, there was a whole scene where they had to call out there's like a special squad of cops that carry guns, and they're the ones that had to go in and arrest these violent criminals, this violent gang. And it was like, the cops that we've been following, including Grace, had to hang back because they don't have guns. There's the whole thing. It was kind of wild. So it's a good series, well written. I like the characters. I think I find it interesting. So check it out. So we continuing our Marvel watch with the kids. We watched the first episode of Loki.
Yes.
So was it my first time rewatching that episode? This might have been my third time watching it.
Did you watch it multiple times?
I think I might have watched it with you once. No, I think this might have been my second. In any case, it's fun to rewatch it knowing what's coming.
Yeah.
Some things make a lot more sense. And this first episode is very interesting. I don't think it spoils anything to say they have to take Loki from where he was in 2012 during Avengers, when he's clearly a bad guy. He straight up murders a few people, to get him by the end of that episode to a point where he can be our protagonist that we sympathize with, who's the good guy, the guy he basically was at the beginning of Avengers, not Endgame, Infinity War, to get him to that point all in this one episode. And that's really most of what this episode is.
Right.
That's a hard task.
But the thing that struck me again as I watched it, which I was able to articulate to myself a little bit better, is how Kafka-esque this whole time variant authority is. It is the absurdity of the man caught in a bureaucratic system that does not make any sense and he does not understand. That's essentially the frame. Part of it, yeah. The frame narrative of Loki is a man caught in an unjust bureaucratic machine that just wants to grind him up.
But yet it also, in some ways, the machine wants to think that it's being kind, like the whole Miss Minute orientation video and the sham trial that they put him through. Like there's no way that he's not going to be convicted of being a variant. Like it's all a sham.
I still am.
And it feels very corporate, institutional.
I still feel like I don't quite understand the internal logic of the whole putting them on trial. Like,
Right.
how can you be guilty of something that you didn't consciously do? Like, you aren't aware of a law that you've broken. There is no real law. They just...
Well, also, you're either a variant or you're not. Like, what's this person who has been given no time to prep? Like, what's the rush? Like, you've already eliminated the variant timeline. What is going on here? What is the other alternative? That's why I think it's just a sham. It's like
right, but what's the point of the whole sham trial? Does it make them feel better? Why not just eliminate the kill them variant on site?
Maybe it makes the people who work at the TVA feel better. Because as we'll learn going on, there's a whole nother level to this.
But I still, like, having seen it before, I still don't really understand the point of any of it. It
might be a bit of a flaw in the whole concept that you have to kind of get past.
It feels like a farce that I don't know if there's a point to it.
I think logically speaking, what should have happened is you should have had the Mobius character show up to Loki in the desert in the Gobi and say, I need you, come with me, instead of eliminating him right here and now like we normally would. I need your help, and then taking him from that rather than go through the whole trial thing.
Right. But it feels like they're trying to do something with the trial, and I'm still not sure what it is.
I think it was to show Loki being he's impotent. To
show the impotence of Loki caught up in a bureaucracy. But again,
in the face of the TVA, like to show that all of that, including him, scampering around trying to escape and finding the things that were the MacGuffin of the entire MCU up to that point, is all, I think, designed to show that the TVA is this big thing that in the face of it, nobody, not even Thanos, would be able to stand against them, I think, is the idea. So what's behind it? And I'm kind of hopeful that as I rewatch this, the ending makes more sense to me, because the ending did not make as much sense to me because I'm not a Marvel Comics fan. Marvel Comics fans, apparently, as I talked to them, it all made sense to them because they knew who these different people were in the greater context. I'm still a little bit lost, and especially having watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, still trying to figure out where the TVA figures into all of that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So this got to be more to come to explain it.
I feel like it's all...
Marvel has always had a plan. And so I'm a little like depending on this idea that there's a plan somewhere. Someone wrote all this down. Like they didn't just throw this out there. But from where we are now in 2022, I don't know what the plan. It doesn't look like there's a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of feels haphazard and half cooked.
Yeah.
Half baked.
Although, I mean, maybe the events of Loki are what lead to things like the Multiverse of Madness and what's going on in Ms. Marvel. The crossing of dimensions and worlds and things.
Perhaps.
So speaking of Ms. Marvel,
yeah,
we watched the latest episode of that. It's continuing to be very fun.
Yeah, I really like it. I loved the going on location to Pakistan.
Yes.
That was incredibly successful. I liked the new characters that they introduced, and I love the grandmother. She's great. Yes,
the grandmother is fun. I also like the fact that, again, they just keep moving this story forward. They're not waiting for anybody to catch up. Things are rapidly developing. There's downtime, but there's no like letting things linger. We're moving forward. We're going where this one ends, like is a bit of a cliffhanger. Right. Is like, wow, okay, where are we now? Like this is,
and they're still, I think, doing some interesting character things with the mother-daughter relationships.
Yes.
I'm really liking the way they're developing now, not only Kamala's relationship with her mother, but her mother's relationship
with the grandmother.
With her mom. So now we've got 3 generations of women and their relationships with each other. And I think that worked really well for me. Like I'm feeling like it's adding a lot of depth to that mother-daughter dynamic.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's really growing on me. And I like the actress who plays Kamala how do I put this delicately? Seems like a real girl. She's not like ultra thin, Hollywood girl.
Yes, she feels like a real person,
right?
Like a person you actually knew who it was in your class, not a model or an actress.
Right. I mean, she's pretty. I'm not saying that. Like, it sounds creepy, I guess. But she's neither like super tomboy, because that's one direction they sometimes go, but she's just like normal. She's just a normal girl who's just being herself, and I like that they've done that. I feel like a lot of girls, especially, will be able to identify better with a character who's more like them and not like Instagram girl, like or TikTok girls, or who are often tend to be fake versions of or unattainable versions of that age group range or whatever. So I think it's good to have something a little less. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
not as slick and
right. I mean, she's a good actress and she's entertaining to watch and all that sort of stuff. Frankly, I'm curious to see how our girls will approach this and what their reaction will be, because I mean, obviously I'm way above the target audience of this.
Right.
I'm way older and, more man than the target audience. But so I'm kind of curious to see how the actual target audience accepts this.
I think they're going to love it.
I think so too. Yeah. I think it'll be great. Because they are fangirls themselves, right? They're fangirls, especially of Star Wars stuff, so I could see Sophie being like this, with the Star Wars characters and going to a Star Wars con and all that sort of thing. Anyway, so that's what we've been reading and watching. Let's talk about some Catholic stuff and talk about this week's mass readings for the 14th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And this is the gospel where Jesus sends the 72 disciples out in pairs. No one goes alone. Everyone needs a buddy.
Buddy system. I love the buddy system.
The buddy system. And he to every town and place he intended to visit ahead of him. So that's actually a key point, by the way. He's going to all these places. They're going out ahead of him.
They're the
advance guard.
What do you call it? The people who go ahead to
the advance team.
Advanced team.
That's what, like, the Secret Service sends guys to a city that the president's going to. They're the advance team.
Yeah.
So they're going to,
or classically from the Old Testament, they're the herald, or from the old world, ancient world, they're the heralds who would go before the king,
right,
to like prepare the way.
Or the prophets sent out, all various things, ways you could look at it. But he gives them instructions. Okay, now everybody be safe. Go together. You don't get, but he tells them, you're like lambs among wolves. Okay. He's like, tells them straight up, you're vulnerable. Okay. Don't take a money bag. Don't take a sack, no extra sandals.
So don't make yourself a target for robbers, but also
I think he's saying rely on the providence of God. That which goes back to the first reading where he's saying, rely on God to take care of you, because God is like a mother from the first reading whose abundant milk will feed you while you are safe in her arms. That was the first reading from Isaiah.
One of my favorite readings.
Yes.
I love the Isaiah.
Oh, that you may suck fully of the milk of her comfort, that you may nurse with delight at her abundant breasts. As nurslings, you shall be carried in her arms and fondled in her lap. As a mother comforts her child, so will I comfort you.
Okay, that totally hits me in a different way, having been a mom, nursing, having nursed 5 kids. It totally hits me in a different way than it would have before I was a mom.
Right.
Like, just, yeah. It hits me in all the
mom ways. All the moms in the congregation go,
yeah. I mean, I know not everybody has an easy time, or not everyone can nurse their babies. So for some people, this might be a very fraught reading.
But they're moms who hold their babies and comfort them and fondle them in their lap, and yeah.
But yeah, that fundamental relationship of God in a fundamentally maternal role towards us is really, I think, something that we can sometimes lose that idea, that we get so caught up in the idea of God as Father and it emphasizing his paternal qualities that we sometimes forget that he is also this nourishing, maternal, loving presence who just wants to hold us and cherish us and feed us.
Right.
And comfort us.
'Cause in this reading, it's Jerusalem that's comforting them and providing for them. But it's also, I think the image is also that God is this motherly image.
Right.
Yeah. I just on another note, I've always amused when male lectors have to read this reading because they look so uncomfortable seeing at her abundant breasts. It's just some guys plow through with dignity. Others kind of turn a little red.
Our female lector did not blink.
No, Beatrice has little kids. She's
got a lot of kids.
Yeah.
She's not at all.
Yes. Not shy about it. She knows what's going on.
But really, it's a beautiful reading, and I think that Jesus echoes that really nicely.
Well, I think what he's basically telling the disciples is, you can do this. Like, I'm proving to you, I'm helping you prove to yourselves that this is something you can do, that you don't have to rely on me to do all the work. After I'm gone, this is what you're going to do. You're going to be doing this. You can do this. It kind of feels like he's a coach pumping up the team. You got this. You got it. That's really how it comes across to me on this one. So, but they are like lambs among wolves. In fact, I think that's going to be the title of this episode, like lambs among wolves. And then when they came back, they were all so excited. Like when your kids are like nervous to go do a thing and you encourage them, like, just go do it. You'll love it. It'll be great. And then when they do the thing and they come back and they're excited, yes, this was awesome. And they tell you all about it. I mean, that's kind of what they're going here. Even the demons are subject to us because of your name. And Jesus is like, yep, I've seen Satan fall out of the sky like lightning. You have the power to tread upon serpents and scorpions. But don't rejoice because the spirits are subject to you. Rejoice because your names are written in heaven. Like, don't get all caught up in the power. That's not what this is about. This is about you serving the Lord. Like, the reason this is great is because you're doing the will of the Father. That's why this is great. Remember, like, let's keep our focus on things. And I mean, how often do you see that? People get all excited about the stuff that's not the important part. So, right. Yeah, I did like that. All right, so I think that will do it for us this time. We want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Raising the Bets, including Father Burke M., Seth, Philip G., Ned G., and James L. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Raising the Bets and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. You'll find links from our discussion in our show notes at sqpn.com/bets. That's BETTS. Send your feedback at the SQPN Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Send an email to bets@sqpn.com, or visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord, where we have a Raising the Bets channel. Until next time, I'm Dom Bettinelli.
And I'm Melanie Bettinelli.
Thank you for listening to Raising the Bets on StarQuest.